Today we're gonna speak about modern trends in cross-cultural communication. And let me introduce myself. My name is Kate Belyatinskaya. Apart from being co-founder and CEO of Startalk Language School, I've been teaching business English for over 15 years now. For the last 5 years, I've been specializing in trainings, cross-cultural communication trainings. I joined Higher School of Economics, where I share my expertise. And well, what I do it for, I really would like to hope to be able to help people all across the world to, well, pump up their cross-cultural communication skills, emotional intelligence, and be better communicators. But that's not just about me, it's also about you. And well, I would like you to open your chat if you don't want to speak, and turn on your mics if you do want to speak. So, can you tell me a couple of words about yourself? What I want to know, first of all, what area are you in? And second question, if you get to converse and collaborate with foreigners a lot or not really, okay? You can write your message on the chat, and further, maybe you could tell me a couple of words about yourself.
Yeah, actually, I can tell about myself. I'm working at a sales position in TikTok, and due to current situation, we are communicating really a lot with colleagues from cross-regional departments, especially with native speakers from the US and the UK. So,
Okay.
yep, business English is a huge part of my work right now.
Okay, great. Further. Thank you so much. Guys, please write your messages on the chat. I cannot see any messages. First of all, yeah, what area are you in? And second of all, do you get to communicate with foreigners, with your foreign partners a lot? Okay, please write that on the chat. That would be super interesting. Okay. Uh-huh. Maybe someone else would like to share verbally. Madina, what about you? Guys, please
Yeah,
write
hi
your
guys.
messages. Mm-hmm.
Okay. I also work for TikTok, and I work in client solutions team. And about communication, I guess nowadays, since the beginning of March, I'm communicating a lot with foreigners. Before, it was just little communication, and maybe I was listening, reading some documents, watching some webinars in English. And now it's a lot about communication with groups from Middle East, from other countries.
Okay, great. Thank you so much, Medina. Thanks a lot. Absolutely. If you're working for an international company, that is a great opportunity to be on the interface with your colleagues, with your partners, with your, I don't know, foreign management, which is a great opportunity for sure. Thank you. Thank you so much. Guys, can you all see the chat? Could you put a plus on the chat if you can see it? Because I cannot see your messages, and I don't know, maybe you, okay. Dmitry, technical account manager for an international company, have to communicate with many colleagues from different countries. Great. Thank you, Dmitry. Thank you so much. Yeah, Olga, Natalia, Anastasia, please write something on the chat as well about you. That would be super interesting to know. Okay, guys, thank you. Well, what we're going to be talking about, as I told you, is trends in cross-cultural communication. And well, several of you have been in my previous webinar where I touched upon it a little bit. And one of the trends is the basically the difference between the university English and the company English. At university or back at school, when you're learning English, what are you focusing on? Vocabulary, grammar, literacy, accuracy, fluency, synonyms, antonyms, idioms, and stuff like that. And what happens in the company when you join the company and you start to actually communicate with the native speakers, with non-native speakers, with foreign partners? Well, it's not about the accuracy and literacy and idioms and super vocabulary and this and that. That is about getting things done. Yeah, getting your job done, signing contracts, agreeing on things. And well, it's like a practice-oriented approach, right? So sometimes what happens is that, it's not about the language anymore. It's really about the soft skills that you're using in your ability to, well, meet these standards or find common ground and things like that. Hi, Vladimir. Thanks for joining. You can turn on your mic.
Hello. I'm sorry I'm late. I hope I haven't.
Just in time. Just in time. So
yeah.
yes. Thank you, Vladimir. So just because company English is about getting things done and making use of your language rather than focusing on the perfection of your language. Today we're talking about the new trend of Globish. I think Natalia Gushina remembers it, right, from last time. What it is about, Natalia, what do you remember? What is Globish about?
Globish, really, I don't remember exactly, but
what do you think?
Maybe I can talk about my work, whereas I can meet with a foreign. I'm like a personal assistant. I work with a foreign staff, yeah, and we have some foreign technical engineer and some HEC specialist, and I remember that I have some problems because they talk very
fast, yeah.
Fast, yes, and I need to understand what I need to do, yeah, and not so good to ask questions. So what? Please repeat. And I know that I can read quickly, but I have no a good skills regarding
communication, right?
Communication, yes, because I have I'm working in a Russian company, a Eurasian Russian company. Most office it's Russian, absolutely.
Right.
So that's a problem.
Okay, I see. So basically, your kind of difficulty is keep catching up with the native speakers, right? Keeping up the pace and understanding, well, when they speak fast and fluently. Actually, guys, maybe you could write on the chat what kind of problems or what kind of issues, what kind of difficulties you personally have when conversing with your foreign partners, foreign colleagues. That will be super interesting as well, and I will comment on that. So look, the idea of Globish is about the fact that it's not about British English or American English anymore. Today, as you know, we have people from a Chinese international company, for example, right? And you can see a lot of nations all collided together, where you can see, I don't know, meet Italians speaking English, Polish people speaking English, Russian people speaking English, Indian people speaking English. And well, Globish is really about this. It's really about getting things done instead of using this amazing idiom filled English, right? Sometimes in order to get things done, you need to kind of degrade your English and just get to the point. Yeah, here's a funny picture for you. This is what Globish is about. And well, here are some facts for you, all right? For those who like facts and graphics and, and figures. As you can see in the slide, yeah, there are 2 billion speakers of English and only 400 million native speakers. And that means that, well, actually today, foreigners, yeah, non-native speakers are dominating the world in terms of, well, English communications. What does that mean? That means that today it's, again, yeah, I'm saying it once again, it's not about, well, showing off how cool your English is or how, I mean, how many synonyms and idioms you know, but it's really about getting people to understand what you have to say and understanding what other people have to say. So here's an example for you. When the Brazilian person is intentionally breaking the grammar rule just for the sake of the Japanese person to understand them. And this is what you can do if you face misunderstanding. It's okay to break grammar rules if that helps them to understand what you have to say, right? And I have this slide for you today. It's not about the perfection in English anymore. It's really about your ability to accommodate. So what that means, clearly, if your English is not that good, or at least you feel that it's not that good, sometimes we just feel so, it's not real, it's just in our head, we have some kind of, you know, we're kind of self-conscious about it. Clearly we want to catch up, we want to be better, we want to improve, but at the same time, you know, the job of those whose English is excellent or native speakers is to accommodate. And this is about this mutual understanding today rather than dominance. It's not about superiority, it's about meeting halfway and getting things done and finding mutual understanding. I have, well, what it means for us, yeah, for Russian speakers, non-native speakers. Well, there are 3 rules that I'm kind of trying to promote these days. And the first one that I love, I mean, it might be weird to hear it from a university teacher, a business trainer, and just English teacher, but rule number 1, it's okay to make mistakes, all right? It's okay to make mistakes. What it means that, you know, it's all right if you confuse present perfect with present perfect continuous, or if you use, I don't know, rise twice instead of rise and increase. It's okay if you use some simple grammar instead of sophisticated grammar. It's okay if you mix up the phrasal verb, it's not a big deal. The idea is that instead of overthinking it and just waiting silently for, okay, no, I'm not going to say it just because I'm not sure about the tense. You just need to say it. Okay, and the people will understand you most likely in most of the cases, or maybe they will even help you, just like your teacher does in your classes, right? So they may guide you, they may assist you in you expressing yourself. So instead of just keeping silent, just say what you have to say. You know, we learn from our mistakes. I believe that it's okay to make mistakes and it's okay to learn from our mistakes. You can be reading all those amazing books and watching all those amazing webinars, but, you know, speaking English is about speaking it rather than, you know, reading about it, right? And principle number 3 is repeat, repeat, repeat. What it is about, it's you know, English is not just knowledge, right? It's, yeah, clearly when you learn it at school, at university, or whatever, when you read books, absolutely does it contribute to your overall expertise, your overall English competence, but it does not contribute to your skills. And well, speaking skills are here on the tip of your tongue, right? They are in your mouth. And in order to exercise it, you just need to speak. So today I have prepared a couple of phrases for you, a little bit of vocabulary. I will definitely share my presentation with you. And if you get to, well, repeat that vocabulary that I'm going to share, I really hope that it's going to be on the tip of your tongue and you won't need to overthink it next time you want to say something. Okay, so this is the principle that we're not going to use. Well, neither today nor I hope in your meetings and your conferences and your calls and your negotiations. If you keep silence, nobody will think that you know English, right? Nobody will know that you know English. So do speak English and be professional. You are hired in your job for your professional skills, not for English, but English is just a communication tool that will help you shine, stand out, will increase your visibility, engage. And I really encourage you to do that and to practice. Yes, thank you so much for answering my question about the problems that you're facing. Yes, Vladimir is writing, chewing, mumbling, and swallowing prevent understanding. Yes, this is so true about, well, native speakers sometimes. And I have one audio for you. This audio is made by a real person. A British person who is working for an international organization, and he recorded 2 audios, okay? One audio is the way he would speak to another British person, all right? And here we are going to listen to it. Let's just listen, it's very short. Listen, I want you to listen and afterwards give me your feedback. What did you understand? Was it clear? Was it not clear? And like, how would you feel if this person talked to you exactly like that? Okay.
Watcha, my name's Mark. I've been roped into doing this by Mike, who is an all right geezer. He doesn't necessarily speak the right English all the time, not like me. Not with the right diction or anything like that. He talks very differently. I hope you're learning a lot from him though, because Mike's a top bloke, and I've certainly learned a lot from him. I mean, he's taught me how to play with big balls on a Russian snooker table, and I'm sure you're going to learn a lot from him through this little lesson that he's doing for you today on English. And one bit of advice: learn English from him, not from me, because no one understands me.
Mm-hmm. Vladimir, I would like to hear from you. Does it sound like that chewing and mumbling and swallowing that you're talking about?
It's too hard for understanding.
Right. Yes. So, I mean, this is a real British person. Yeah, Michael, I'm not sure if that's Cockney or that's not Cockney exactly. But yes, as you know, British people, well, there are a lot of different British accents. And just imagine that the person working for an international company would come to a meeting with non-native speakers and speak like that. What will happen?
It's awful. It's awful for the people.
Exactly.
It's very hard to understand.
Very hard to understand. So listen, this kind of English will prevent understanding, right? This kind of English is not going to lead to, mutual understanding, finding common ground, and so on. And in fact, I mean, we're talking about learning English and, well, expanding our vocabulary and advancing our expertise. But in fact, what today native speakers need to do, and good managers and great employees and well, strong leaders do exactly that. The ones who work for international companies, what they do, they adjust. They speak like that in bars with their other British people, colleagues, but they speak absolutely differently with their international peers. Let's listen to the way he speaks with non-native speakers, and you will get back to me on if that was better, clearer, more understandable, and so on. Okay. No, sorry. Second.
Hi, my name is Mark. Mike has asked me whether I would kindly do a video for you so you could understand the English language. What I would say is Mike may not necessarily speak how I do a lot of the times, because my diction is certainly not the strongest when it comes to the English language. What I would say is that I hope that you're learning a lot from your English lesson with Mike. He has certainly taught me a lot, playing with big balls on a Russian snooker table, and I'm sure that you will learn a lot from Mike. And I have one bit of advice for you. Do not learn English from me, but learn English from Mike.
So how does that feel?
Better.
Better.
Yeah. Olga, why does
It's
it feel
clear.
better?
Yeah.
Why does it feel better?
He tried to put efforts to make it clear so people understand him.
Right. Well, he slowed down, first of all, right?
Yeah.
And well, to me, when I first, these were actually videos. I just didn't want to show you the actual person because that is kind of confidential. But when I first saw the videos, I couldn't believe my eyes because I saw the same person, but it's like two different people speaking. You can never say that the person can transform their language so much, right? But anyway, this is what I believe true efforts towards successful communication are about. Because and it clearly visualizes this idea of us trying to improve our English and trying to learn it and going out of our ways to do that and shaking off our fears and so on. But at the same time, it needs to meet halfway. And it's a great idea to signal if you don't understand something. Natalia, it's okay to signal you don't understand, because it's not just about you. It's also about them. And if you want to do business together, if you want to find common ground, if you want to collaborate, it's a two-way street. It's not a one-way street anymore. So do signal. It's okay to say, I don't understand. Could you speak slowly, please? Excuse me, I didn't quite catch that. Did you mean this and that? It's all right to say so. Okay, so let's move on. And today as I told you, we're not talking about in terms of the trends in cross-cultural communication. We're not talking about the vividness and correctness anymore, but we are talking about developing our cross-cultural intelligence. What is cross-cultural intelligence about? What are your ideas, guys? You're welcome to speak up or write something on the chat. What is CQ? What is cross-cultural intelligence? What do you think? Any volunteers? Vladimir, what do you think?
I think cross-cultural intelligence is about, thank you for your question. I think cross-cultural intelligence is about to reach an agreement on certain acting items, to agree about next steps and shake hands. That's the key point, and also to do this, you have to keep in mind a lot of things. First of all, attention, approach to time. Yeah, because in different culture, time has a different meaning.
Vladimir, wait a moment, you will tell my workshop.
Okay.
Hold on. Thank you.
Yes, the key idea is to find common points and create next steps to reach the target, the common target. Yeah.
Right. You're absolutely right. I'm sure that you know about emotional intelligence and about empathy, understanding yourself, understanding other people's emotions, empathizing with them, sharing them. And the idea is absolutely the same. It's just instead of emotions, we're talking about cultures. That is about understanding our culture, your own culture. It can be, well, the national culture, the company culture, the family culture, your unique nuclear personal culture, right? And then understanding other cultures. It can be, again, national cultures or, I don't know, community culture, company culture, family cultures, and, well, understanding them and sharing some kind of, well, feelings they might have or communication, well, points and strategies that they have, and being able to adjust. That is about flexibility, you know? So I have prepared a couple of things for you to share, to show you how it works. I'm going to share two things. First of all, we're going to talk about direct and indirect communication. And secondly, we will talk a little bit about giving feedback cross-culturally. So regarding the direct and indirect cultures, here's a great graph by Dr. Edward Hall, who classifies cultures into, well, two categories. I mean, not, well, the high context cultures and the low context cultures. What it is about, you see, the high context cultures, they pay a lot of attention to the body language, to the gestures and mimics and face and everything. And high context cultures, they really pay attention to the hierarchy or superiority, and they really choose the words that they use when they want to say something. Okay, so what it is about, it's about not speaking exactly what in terms of what you have to say, what you have in mind, but it's about this indirect communication. So instead of saying this is bad or this is wrong, a Japanese person will go in a roundabout way, not to hurt your feelings, not to offend you. They will never say that publicly. And I'm sure that the TikTok guys totally understand what you're talking about. Well, shaming people publicly or giving negative feedback publicly is taboo in the Chinese culture or in Indian culture, in Asian countries in general. And at the same time, there are these low context cultures, right? Where, you know, it doesn't matter what you are, what your rank is, what, if you're my boss or you're not. Well, I just speak my mind. I'm very direct about what I have to say because I believe that it's honest to be direct. Why should I go in a roundabout way if it's wrong, right? Absolutely. And if I say it's bad, if I say it's wrong, I mean it. I'm honest. I'm candid, right? But there might be a problem there and a difficulty there. So what might be the problem between, well, when indirect and direct cultures collide? what might be the difficulty between them in terms of communication? What do you think? Who wants to speak?
Misunderstanding.
Misunderstanding, right. Well, imagine. Actually, I'm going to share a video with you a tiny bit later. But for example, if you're talking, Michael, what do you think? Are you more of a direct person or you're more of an indirect person? What do you think you are?
In between.
Okay, actually, that was my next question. You see, there is a lot of research done on these cultures. They are here on the graph. But in fact, I couldn't find Russia anywhere. I mean, I looked through a lot of research and I couldn't find it anywhere. And then I went really deep into where Russia is, and I found research that was based on only 50 respondents. So I don't think it's exactly representative. So I want to ask you, what do you think? Where is Russia? Is it high context or low context, or is it somewhere in between? Where is it?
I think it's more low context.
Low context, yes?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Any other opinions? Does everyone agree? Thank you, Dmitry.
Maybe near English US.
So somewhere in between, right?
Yes.
Close to US. Okay. Thank you, Madina. Any other opinions?
I believe between.
Between.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yes.
I think that we have many suffixes which allow us to give our thoughts in quite accurate way. That's why I think that it's more low context than high context.
Yes.
And I think that's one of the reasons why they say that Russians are rude and not emotional, because we have in our language, we have too many suffixes, too many short words, short forms of words, and some kind of other stuff which helps us to I don't know, to be really more I don't know, straight in our conversation, in our communication. Yes, straightforward, right?
Okay, Dmitry, thank you so much. Actually, what we're talking about, there's one more aspect to it, which I'm going to tell you about when we get to the negative feedback. Well, but in fact, you are all right, because, you know, Russians, we are like chameleons, and there are so many different kinds of Russians that, well, some tend to be more direct and some less direct. But in general, I would say that we are more in the low context zone. But still, you see, we do choose the level of formality when it comes to authority. We speak with our bosses in one way, and we speak to our colleagues or friends in a totally different way, right? There is this distinction between the level of formality that we choose when we speak to, you know, a client, for example, new client, and an old client that we are kind of friends with, right? We kind of like regulate this level of formality. This is why I didn't put it here in the low context, but I put it in the middle, because the idea of the level of formality still exists in our culture. And actually, it's a great fact. The fact that we're somewhere in between makes it easier for us to navigate through the scale. We can choose to adapt to more high context style, and we can choose to adapt to a more direct style. Just imagine a Swiss and a Japanese, they're like poles apart, and clearly it's harder for them to adjust. But for us, being in the middle, it's much easier to choose our way of communication, adjusting to this or that culture. And that is great news. So here's a funny picture for you. I mean, of course, it's like a meme and it's a joke, but, you know, there is, well, a piece of joke in every joke. So this is how, I mean, different nations will express agreement, going from super direct Germans to much less direct Italians. Yeah, let's go and have a compare and talk about it tomorrow. But anyway, the idea is like this: if you're facing a different culture, it's a good idea to understand what kind of culture that is. Or I don't know, if you read people at a certain point, and if you learn to read people at a certain point, again, you can choose the level of formality, directness, and the indirectness that you use when communicating with them. And if you are a very indirect person talking to a very direct person, it's a great idea for you to consider choosing your vocabulary a tiny bit. Instead of saying, how about, you could go with, I strongly suggest. Why? Simply because the indirect person may not take this how about seriously. But if it's, I strongly suggest, okay, it's clear, I understand, right? The more clear it is, the more direct it is, the better the direct people understand. And you could adjust this level of directness that you're using. And at the same time, if you're a direct communicator talking to an indirect communicator, again, you could adjust your style, right? By using less direct vocabulary and phrases. So instead of saying that's wrong, you could go with, I'm not sure that is right. Yes. Here's a little bit, well, this is the trick that I like, and I really want to share it with you. You see, it's actually not that difficult to communicate a tiny little bit less directly than we choose to communicate in. So look, how you express agreement, yeah? If you actually agree with something, if you like things and you think that they're okay and they're right, you say, I think it's okay, I think you're right, I'm sure that is acceptable. How to turn it into a less direct disagreement? Simply by putting the negation with the first part. So just imagine, instead of saying that is wrong, you go, I'm not sure that is right, right? Or instead of saying, that's not going to work, you say, I hardly believe it's going to work. Or instead of saying, that's bad, that's a bad idea, I'm not sure that's a good idea. You see, the idea is like this. The focus is shifting from the object of your of communication to you. You're saying basically, you're right, I'm just not sure about it. That's correct, I just don't think so. See, it's a trick, but it really helps you to go from this super direct negative sentence to a much less direct, more positive sentence. You still say that you don't agree, right? You just do it in a less direct and less offensive and maybe in a more polite way. That's all, pretty much. Another thing, actually, if you want to share your feedback, if you agree or disagree, please write on the chat something like good idea, not a good idea, maybe you disagree with me. It will be great to discuss. Okay, another idea that I want to share with you today is the idea of feedback, giving and receiving big feedback. And yes, Dmitry, here's what I wanted to comment on. You see, there is this great researcher, Erin Meyer, who devoted her life to studying and researching the way different cultures give feedback. And on the scale, you can see Russia. on this super negative pole. Okay. And well, this is what kind of makes us sound or come across as kind of rude when we have to give negative feedback. Yeah, when we don't like something, or when we disagree with something, or we are not all thumbs up for something, we express it in a very direct way. Dmitry, do you agree with me?
Yeah, that makes sense.
So the problem is, again, right, in the way people give and receive this feedback in a very direct way or in a very indirect way, here you might face some kind of misunderstanding, misinterpretation, and probably lose the point of conversation and collaboration. And well, just because I don't want to retell the story that Erin Meyer is really good at telling, I'm going to show her her video. She's an amazing public speaker, great storyteller. And if you choose to find more videos by her, I'm sure you're going to love them. So let's watch the first piece about the way different cultures give feedback, and we will discuss that, okay?
I was working with a team where I had just British and Dutch on the team. And the British person wrote a report, and he sent it to his Dutch colleague for feedback. The Dutch person thought the report was horrible. He thought about how to improve it. The next day, he called up his British colleague. He had the value system of the importance of honesty that was driving the way he gave the feedback. So he said, I read through your report. We can't send this to the client like this. The introduction is weak. Here are some things we could do to improve the introduction. There's a lack of logic flow in the middle of the report. Here are some ways we could improve the logic flow. There are a number of grammatical errors that I circled here. As he went through that feedback, the British person was taking this feedback very emotionally, personally. He was thinking, you know, this guy is arrogant. He doesn't seem to like me. I don't think I like him. He thought, this is the last time that I'm going to ask this person for feedback. Now, the next week,
Medina. How does it feel? How does the story feel to you? What happened?
Yeah, I feel like maybe I came across with this kind of situations, and now I'm just thinking maybe maybe I sounded arrogant.
So you were which character were you? Were you the British person or the Dutch person?
I guess the Dutch person.
Right.
And now I'm just curious about this person's feelings.
You see, the Dutch person didn't do something wrong, right? Yeah. They were guided by their value system. If I give honest feedback, it's going to help the person improve, right?
Yeah.
So why should I say that it's good if it's bad? I will correct the grammar mistakes, of course. Right?
Yes.
How does the British person feel? How does the British person feel about it?
I guess he could feel some, he could feel some pressure. He would, I'm not sure that I'm using the right word, humiliated.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. They take it personally, right? He took it personally, right?
Yeah, he would took it personally, definitely.
Yes. Let's listen to the opposite story, okay? When the British person gives feedback to the Dutch person, yeah? The indirect culture gives feedback to the direct culture. What happens?
tables turned, and in the second situation, exactly the opposite. The Dutch person wrote the report, he sent it to the British person who thought it was horrible, who thought about how to improve it, who called up the Dutch person the next day. But when the British person called up the Dutch person, he gave the feedback in a different way. He said, I read through your report, and there were a number of things about the report that I liked. For example, this portion I thought was well written. This section I thought was well researched. Now, if you wanted to make some changes, I have just a few small suggestions for you. So I was thinking that the introduction to this report could be even stronger with just some small modifications. Here are my thoughts. Very small grammatical errors that I just cleaned up for you. And in the middle of the report, I think we could be very powerful. There's some minor adaptations. Now, when the Dutch person got this feedback, he thought, okay, report's good, right? He made a few minor changes. He sent it off to his client. A week later, he learned from someone else that that British guy didn't like the report. Now he thought, you know, this guy lied to me. He's a hypocrite. You can't trust him. That's the last time I'm going to ask him for feedback. Now, when you look at the...
Dmitry, so what happened?
Mismatching of the cultures.
Right,
and yes, it's just things they got used to realize and understand and catch the ideas of other people around us. It's just the way of thinking.
Right. So either way, yeah, if you're guided with your value system that the other person doesn't understand, it's going to lead to some kind of clash, right? So in this case, yeah, well, it was super great, positive feedback with developmental feedback, everything, but the result was the same, right? Simply because the people were guided with their own value systems and their own communication style, instead of adjusting to, well, the other person's, the other culture's value system and communication style, right? So here's some ideas for you, just because we are on this negative pole and we're very good at giving negative feedback. I have some ideas for you in terms of giving positive and developmental feedback. Well, I'm sure that you're, and this is what I do, you know, when I do meetings or when I do classes, I never ask the Russian people, like, tell me what you think about it, because the first thing is going to be negative. What I do, I say, tell me what you liked about this presentation. Tell me what you like about this idea. This is the first question that I ask. And then we take it from there. So we first need to give something positive, because we are very good and we are very quick at giving something negative. So try giving some positive feedback just for the sake of exercise. And the second idea is to give developmental feedback. You see, the idea of developmental feedback is not about giving your negative or critical attitude about things. It's really about trying to somehow improve stuff, right? So instead of criticizing, you're just focusing on the improvement. So how you can do it? First of all, you can just ask the person for their ideas, right? Well, you give a fact, it hasn't been done. What are your thoughts? What are your ideas? Why do you think it happened? Without criticizing them. Here's the fact: the report wasn't completed in time. Why do you think it happened? Or do you have any idea? Or what are your thoughts? So you encourage them instead of giving him the idea why it's so bad. you invite them to converse. And another idea for developmental feedback is not to focus on the past, but to focus on the future. You see, you cannot change the past. There is no way to change the past. There is no time machine, unfortunately or fortunately, I don't know. but you can change the future. So what if instead of saying you did this wrong and did that wrong and this didn't work, that didn't work, you could just say, well, okay, all right, it is how it is, but next time, how about we do things differently? How about next time we do it like that? How about next time you do, we do, I do something? How about focus on the future instead of focusing on the past? See the idea? And well, the last slide about feedback is, well, two kinds of feedback that you can give. Again, following to go away from this negative feedback to a different kinds of feedback. The first one is the sandwich approach. I'm sure that some of you know this idea. Put a plus on the chat if you know what I'm talking about. Positive, developmental, positive. And here's the example for you. So what the person does, he goes with something good. You're a great contributor. Then developmental. Well, you didn't look engaged, a fact. Maybe next time you could. And they finish off with something positive. Feels good, right? And another idea is data or impact driven approach. So what the person does here, again, they give a fact, what happened, okay? Why they bring it up, yeah, they reference to authority, yeah, it goes against the norms. The impact is like, what does it lead to? What are the consequences? But instead of scolding the person, because these are facts and data-driven ideas, what are your thoughts of this? What do you think about it? You're inviting the person to comment rather than scolding them about, well, how bad things are. Well, guys, this is pretty much it. I'm going to share my presentation with you. What else is important today and in general in terms of any kind of communication, right? And in cross-cultural communication, especially. Soft skills, of course, developing your soft skills. It's about the communication, about understanding other people, developing your EQ, CQ, learning to listen, learning to give feedback, learning to disagree and agree in a certain way. And of course, it's about cultural cross-cultural collaboration skills, right? Well, here are some names that could help you and dig into it a little bit more. Some great experts and researchers who have written a lot of books and have given a lot of workshops. And if you're interested in the topic, well, it would be a great idea if you just read a couple of books, and I'm sure that you're going to be super interested and you're going to love them. Well, what we have talked about, just to wrap it up, we have talked about the idea of globish, the idea of accommodation, the idea of developing our cultural intelligence instead of just learning the language for the sake of learning the language. We have talked about the classification between the high context and low context cultures. We have talked about feedback, giving feedback and giving evaluations. And that is pretty much it. I would like to hear from you what idea or ideas you liked most, and what idea or ideas are going to be useful for you in your work. It would be super interesting to know. You can write or you can speak.
I can add something.
Yes, Olga, thank you. That would be great.
I actually have to interact with my colleagues from other countries, especially now. And when I'm going to communicate to them, first of all, I will try to understand to which culture they belong, to direct or indirect. And depending on the result, I will adapt my communication style while giving them feedback or some information that we discuss.
Great, Olga. Definitely it starts with research and understanding who you are, who they are, and then adjusting. Great idea. Thank you, Olga. Thank you so much. Thanks a lot. Natalia is writing direct versus indirect communication. Thank you. Anyone else would like to share what idea that you guys liked most? Dmitry, what about you?
No, actually, I just can agree with the previous speaker, and I cannot say that all we heard today is new things, new stuff for us. I think we all heard about it more or less, but it's really great that you could compile all this different, I would say, how to say correctly, different
ideas,
things,
right?
ideas, yes, together, and I appreciate your
enthusiasm.
Enthusiasm, yeah, for sure, but
emotional intelligence.
yes, some kind of tricky things which we can use in our everyday life. It's in our communication with foreigners, and yes,
tips.
we need to evaluate tips. Yes, we need to evaluate who we talk to. Yes, and I will use it for sure. Thank you.
Great.